Well, welcome to Hump Day, everybody. Glad you've joined me for today's devotion. Yes, we are reading Genesis 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. But between Genesis 2 and 3, we're jumping into the book of Psalms for one day today and reading Psalm 104. So go ahead and open your Bible to Psalm 104. As you do that, I want to remind everyone this coming Sunday morning, regular schedule at First Baptist, all three services, 8:30, 9:45, and 11 a.m. Sunday evening, January 12 at 5 p.m., a business meeting, our leadership rally, some time praying, and a business meeting during which we're going to vote on the deacon recommendation that we elect Jim Davis as deacon emeritus, or as we call it here, honorary life deacon. He served as a deacon for many, many years. We want to honor him with that title as honorary life deacon. Also, our bylaws team, the church elected 2 years ago and has been working diligently for 2 years, is going to bring a motion, a recommendation at this business meeting for the new bylaws for First Baptist Church. We will not be voting on approving those bylaws Sunday night, but the motion will be made, a presentation, and a copy of the bylaws will be available for everyone who would like a copy. They will also be available online starting Monday. But I just want you to be aware of that. Come and join us Sunday night. Now, Psalm 104, as I mentioned yesterday, Genesis 1 and 2 are not the only places in the Bible that talk about creation. Now, there are different verses that, maybe have, or chapters rather, that have a verse or two, but there are places in the Bible where creation is discussed pretty extensively, and Psalm 104 is an example of that. Another one is in the book of Job. And you'll remember a few months ago when we were reading Job, we said that Job maybe, we can't say it definitively, but it's quite possible that Job is the oldest book in the Bible, that it was written before Moses actually wrote Genesis. And in the book of Job's chapters 38 and 39 talk a lot about creation. And there are other places. And one of the lessons for us is that we're not told everything about God's creating the universe in Genesis 1 and 2. We're told some things. We're told other things, more things in other places. And to get a full picture of God's creating the universe, you put all of those together. And actually, some of the information in Job and Psalms and other places can help us better understand or more accurately understand Genesis 1 and 2. So for that reason, I wanted us to, in this reading plan, look at one chapter that talks about creation outside the book of Genesis. And Psalm 104 is one of those. And this is a very dramatic, image-filled description, if you will, of creation and God as the almighty creator. And what's clear in this chapter is that God is bigger than the creation. He is beyond the creation, and he is eternal, while what he created is non-eternal, because as we saw this week in Genesis 1, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, the universe and this earth, and so on. So the universe has a beginning. God does not. So God is eternal. Creation is not. God is beyond and distinct from the creation. He created it. And God is bigger than, greater than all of the, which really points to the greatness of God, because we are today more aware of the vastness and greatness of the universe than humanity has been at any point in history. And wow, how incredibly great and awesome God is if he's beyond and bigger than and greater than the universe. So some of these images that are very moving to me in verse 2, for instance, the second part of verse 2, stretching out heaven like a tent curtain. The idea of, just stretching things out and pitching a tent. And God is so great that this entire universe that he created, it's just like God setting up a tent. Wow, how incredible is God. Then verse 3, He lays the beams of his upper chamber in the waters. He makes the clouds his chariot. I like that image that God's just riding on the clouds. He walks upon the wings of the wind. What an image. He walks on this is poetic language. It's very descriptive language, but it's intended to impart to us an understanding of the greatness of God when compared to even the greatness of creation. Just beautiful, beautiful truth. A few more things real quickly. One, all of creation, not some of it, all of creation is dependent on God. Look at verse 13. The waters, God waters the mountains from his upper chambers from the heavens, and the earth is satisfied with the fruit of his works. He's the one that allows this earth to flourish, to have what it needs to exist and flourish. Verse 21. The young lions roar after their prey. They're roaring and chasing an animal that they're going to eat for food. They're going to feed the pride with, if you will. And they seek their food from God. He's saying that when the lions capture a prey for dinner, God is the one who provided that because he created all those things they prey upon. Verse 27. They all wait for you to give them their food in due season. You give to them. They gather it up. You open your hand, and they are satisfied with good. Animals and people, and animals gathering, squirrels gathering nuts, us gathering whatever we gather into our barns, everything that we gather, everything that the squirrels gather, everything that animals gather, they can only gather other things because God created those other things that provide sustenance, that provides food to animals, to us as humans. So all of creation is dependent on God. Another lesson is that all of it, all of creation, everything in it, including us, belong to God and no one else. I don't care if you have a deed. God owns everything. Look at verse 24. He says, O Lord, how many are your works? In wisdom you have made them all, God. Everything that's out there, God, you made it all. The earth is full of your possessions. Notice that. The earth is full of your possessions, your creatures, everything that fills this earth. God created it. God owns it. That is the biblical basis, if you will, the biblical foundation for Christian stewardship. That everything I have in life, I have from God. Even if I create something, I create it with something God already created. I don't create anything from nothing. No one does. So I'm dependent on God, and he owns all of what I think I own, and that means he owns me as well. And the reason Christians tithe and give sacrificially is a recognition of that. We don't selfishly hold on to it to use it for ourselves only, as if God has no role in this. He owns it. The New Testament teaching is that you are managing what does not belong to you. You are managing what belongs to God. And when you ignore what God says about what you are to do with what you manage that is his, wow. In life, when you do that, you go to jail. You go to jail. When you misuse funds that don't belong to you, you go to jail. Everything you and I have, including our very existence, belongs to God. How dare we? How dare we do whatever we want with God's possessions? Another lesson is that we work for our food. We cultivate God's creation. There in verse 14. Verse 14, he causes the grass to grow for the cattle and vegetation for the labor of man, so that he may bring forth food from the earth. God is the one who's created it so that our gardens will grow crops. You couldn't even have food to eat if it wasn't for God making things available. Verse 23, man goes forth to his work and to his labor until evening. We work cultivating what God has created so we can put food on the table, so we can put a roof over our family, so we can put clothes on our loved ones. That's how God set it up. So financial stewardship, yeah, God owns it all, brothers and sisters. And what we produce, even what we produce, depends on what he created. You have never produced anything. Listen, you have never accomplished anything or produced anything without using a substance God already created. You say, what about my creativity? I create art. Who created your brain? You've never done anything, created anything, accomplished anything without starting with what God had already made. And stewardship and tithing is saying, God, I get it. I get it. Are you a steward or a thief? Because in the book of Malachi it says we're one or the other. We're either a Christian biblical steward or we're a thief stealing from God to use for our own purposes rather than managing what actually belongs to God. That's the message for today. I'll see you tomorrow as we jump back in the book of Genesis, chapter 3. God bless you. Have a good day, everybody.